What you're about to see is a rare moment of total collapse inside a congressional hearing. Rosa DeLauro pressing Marco Rubio so hard on foreign aid kites, human lives lost, and billions gone unaccounted for, that he can barely defend his own agency. This isn't just tension. This is a breakdown in oversight, in honesty, and in basic accountability.
A member. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I might quickly say that a while ago we had a briefing by USAID senior officials, Jim Cunder, Chris Milligan, and just a quote, what has been done was an 84% cut to USAID. It scatters the remnants of USAID across a dozen state bureaus and almost guarantees that our competitors will dominate in local competition. The fact is, people have been fired and agencies and programs have been terminated. Secretary Rubio, human lives have been lost. Extensive damage is done to the U.S. international standing under your watch. This would not have happened if the administration had followed the law and congressional intent. Congress appropriated foreign aid funding with a clear set of directives, yet with no notice to Congress. The administration has broken the law, completely dismantled U.S. Foreign aid, hijacked funding for the State Department and USAID at the behest of Elon Musk and Doge. I might just say, you don't have the authority, Elon Musk doesn't have the authority, the president doesn't have the authority, and OMB doesn't have the authority. The authority to appropriate funding comes from this body, the United States Congress, and it is so stated in the Constitution. You're now sitting on billions of dollars. This subcommittee, which appropriated that funding in the first place, has no idea of how you plan to use them. Secretary, how do you plan to spend your agency's remaining fiscal year 2025 money, if not as directed by the Congress?
Well, I think the president through OMB is going to work with you and the Congress on how best to, reset the funding levels for the new year and how to move those funds. And we await OMB guidance in that regard.
Well, I would just say for months we have been asking for a list of which programs were cut and why, and all we have received is this unintelligible spreadsheet, a sheet that does not seem to reflect reality. We need clear answers on how you need to plan to spend this year's funding and asking for a commitment that you let us know, because you have terminated programs, you have fired staff. What are you going to do with that money that was already appropriated?
Well, again, we're waiting for OMB guidance, and obviously they'll reach out and work with Congress on these funds.
OMB is not working with Congress. The president is not working with Congress. You are not working with the Congress. We need to understand, if we are going to appropriate dollars, what it is that has happened. What is it that you propose to do with the billions of dollars that you have expropriated?
Yeah, again, that's a function, as you know, that's OMB has those decisions to make, and they'll have to work with you on it.
Then I guess you don't have much control over your agency, Mr.
Well,
Secretary.
ultimately, well, we have a lot of control.
Reporting, you have terminated more than 90% of USAID programs, 60% of programs at state. All are the firing of all our development experts in the next few weeks, and are preparing to fire hundreds more at the State Department. We need an accountability. And if we can't, I don't know, if we can't get it from the Secretary, then from whom are we going to get this accountability? It is your department.
Well, with all due respect, some of your numbers are incorrect. We have not cut 60% of the funding at the State Department. If you're referring to the budget request, that's different. There has not been mass layoffs at the State Department. I think there's been less than 200 people that have been riffed from the State Department. From the State Department.
I'm talking about, USAID. And
well, that's a different one.
Well,
right.
No, it's not a different issue. You now plan to take on, and the gentleman said you're going to scatter the remnants of
That's
USAID throughout the State Department. Who is going to make sure appropriated funds are spent properly?
Well, they're not going to be scattered. They're actually going to be consolidated in a couple of funds that deliver, for example, International Humanitarian Assistance Fund. We'll also have an increase to the Emergency Refugee and Migration Assistance Fund.
You mentioned previous secretaries who have moved in this direction, and I just want to say to you that they decided not to do it because it was ill-advised. 15% of the planned cuts, there's 15% planned cuts of state staff. Now, who is going to make sure that appropriated funds are spent properly if you have fired all the staff with experience overseeing the process? Will you personally be approving every expenditure? I know you have a lot of jobs already.
No, we're not. First of all, we haven't fired any experienced staff other than the people that were riffed out of the 2 divisions in the department. But other than that, I said at the State Department, there's been only under 200 people have been removed. Some have retired and so forth, but that's normal in any cycle. We are also going to hire new people,
Let me just
including,
say,
as I've already...
you have,
well,
my time is short, Mr. Secretary.
so is mine, and that's why I want to tell you that we're also going to bring in people from USAID.
My time is short. I reclaim my time. Yet you have terminated key monitoring and evaluation programs. Allow us to account for the use of this funding. How does allowing the money to flow out the door while hamstringing your own ability to track that money make our government more efficient and prevent waste, fraud, and abuse? It's clear that from the administration and Musk that the process is ignorant of the purpose of foreign aid, utterly unprepared to manage their own dictates, taking a chainsaw to foreign aid with no concern for human lives or the broader consequences for our security, no plan for the future. I yield back. Thank you.
What you just watched wasn't a routine exchange. It was a confrontation decades in the making. Rosa DeLauro didn't just challenge Marco Rubio, she exposed the fragility of an administration that has tried to govern by improvisation, secrecy, and executive overreach. And when confronted with the most basic question, how are you spending the billions Congress already appropriated, Rubio had no answer. Not a partial answer, not even a direction. Just delays, deflections, and a repeated insistence that OMB would work with Congress, even though Congress has been asking for months with nothing but silence in return. This is what happens when an administration tries to dismantle foreign aid without understanding what foreign aid actually does. DeLauro lays it out bluntly. When you gut U.S. aid by 84%, scatter programs across agencies, and fire development experts who track where federal dollars go, you don't just save money. You lose oversight, you lose accountability, and most importantly, you lose lives, real human lives, in places where U.S. aid isn't symbolic, it's oxygen, medication, clean water, refugee support, and emergency food relief. And that's why DeLauro goes so hard here, because Congress didn't just recommend these programs, they appropriated the funding. They gave legal direction, and every move the administration made ignored it. That's not a difference of political ideology, that's a breakdown in how government is supposed to function. Notice Rubio's responses, vague references to awaiting guidance, claims that mass firings didn't happen, and attempts to downplay staff losses as normal cycles. But DeLauro has the receipts. Terminated programs, unintelligible spreadsheets, missing explanations, and billions sitting idle while critical global crises worsen. It's not just bad management. It's what happens when political loyalty gets prioritized over operational expertise. This moment matters because it captures the chaos created when governance is handed to people who see policy as leverage, not responsibility. When a billionaire's whims override years of development strategy. When oversight is treated as an inconvenience rather than a constitutional duty. And the question DeLauro leaves hanging in the room, if we can't get accountability from the secretary, then from whom? Echoes far beyond this hearing. Because if the administration can hide how taxpayer money is being used, undermine Congress's authority, and fire career experts without consequence, then the balance of power breaks. And when that breaks, democracy weakens. If you want more breakdowns like this, where we cut through the noise and show what's really at stake, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. This platform grows because of you, and so does the truth behind moments like this.